Hey guys, we're here again. I showed you that last video. We had the tips and tricks on ornaments for Lightburn. And so now I've got just stacks of the things all waiting to get glued up. I only put my ad on Facebook just a few days ago. I already have a few orders that I'm trying to catch up on here. And we're not even at Thanksgiving time. So that's when I find things usually really take off. So I'm using just a regular old tight bond, or you can use a craft white glue. These silicone trays are great, by the way. They do make a brush that you can use for glues. What I find is it's really fine detail there. I use a digital glue applicator. Okay, it's my fancy little piece there. And I'm just smearing a thin layer on there. This isn't a high stress item, so you can use just a less expensive glue. I do like the white glue because it dries clear. Tight Bond, the regular yellow Tight Bond 2, what I call regular Tight Bond, has a little bit of a yellow tint when it dries, and so I usually don't use that one. And so I'm really just kind of getting 85, 90% coverage. The places you really want to pay attention to are thin pieces that might break if they're not supported by that backer. So in other words, the little snowman's cane here, I'm going to make sure to get some on there. And you do want to make sure and get it on the hanging ring. And let's see here. Now, you're going to get a little bit of ooze out the sides. You can just wipe that off with your finger. And yes, your fingers are going to get covered with glue. I always joked I was going to teach a class to grade schoolers called 101 Ways to Glue Your Fingers Together. This is one of them. Nice thing about this craft glue or wood glues is they don't really stick to the human flesh very well. And so it just peels right off later. So now I'll grab my backer, line that up. You want to line it up pretty good before you actually stick them together so you aren't smearing glue on that backer. Okay, now you have some options for clamps. So I got a bunch of these. I don't know, it was in a pack, just these squeeze clamps. I just use those. I'll show you another option here in just a minute. And I'll just clamp that there. Lined up good. Clamp him there. And grab another clamp here. Third clamp right there. Okay. So I'll just clamp that up. Now, after about 5 or 10 minutes, I'm just going to double check that alignment a little bit. After about 5 or 10 minutes, you're cured up enough. That stuff is tacky enough. It's going to be glued together. And you can take those clamps off and use them on your next ones. Just got a tiny bit of slip on this guy, like so. Now, a lot of guys like to use CA glue. I think CA glue is an awesome tool. And if you had a slower cure CA glue, that's probably what I would use. The fast curing stuff, you just don't have time to rearrange, and boy, you better be where you want to be when that gets on there. Otherwise, you're in trouble. Okay? So there we go. So that one's nice and aligned. The other thing you can use for clips are office binder clips. They're really cheap. They work great on this when you just have 2 layers of, this 3mm stuff, 1/8" stuff. And so this one's been, tacked together and clamped together for a couple minutes. And so what I'll do is once I've got a few of those that are clamped together, I'll take those clamps off so I can use them on the next ornaments. I'll stack them up, and then I just use a weight. This is maybe 1.5 inches by inch maybe of solid steel that I picked up at I don't remember where I picked that, the scrapyard or somewhere, but it's heavy. And I'll just set that on there, and we'll keep stacking as we go. Like so. Okay, so those are going to finish gluing up and tacking up there. Yep, that looks great. Okay, and we'll keep gluing. So once that glue is dried, I will come back. I usually wait and do this after it's dried off, after the glue is cured for an hour. And if you look around that 2024 there, now you might not have this issue, but if you look on that 2024, you can kind of see some schmutz, the I don't know what you want to call it, the soot from when it engraved. I usually wait until it's glued up just because it's a little more substantial. If I'm just doing it with just this, that's a little bit fragile for my monkey hands, and I could crack something. So after it's glued up, I've got a little more something substantial. I'll use some 240 grit. And in general, just a few swipes. We'll clean that right off. We'll just give it a couple more. More down towards the bottom. Now some guys use like an alcohol wipe or a baby wipe. I've never used that. And I think the reason I don't use that is that adds a chemical component that I'll either might have to wait to let that dry before I can go to my next step. So now you can see that 2024 is nice and clean. And my next step, by the way, I blow that out. There we go. So you blow the dust off of there from the sanding. Next step is I like to use satin clear. You can use a gloss clear. It looks beautiful. To me, gloss is a little more finicky, and you need 3 or 4 coats to really get much gloss off of it. So I like a satin. It looks nice and natural. It's a soft looking ornament. And then I'll tie my ribbons once that lacquer's dried. Good old dollar store ribbon. You can get it in different colors and patterns and things. And that's what it looks like. You saw those at the last video. I think I showed you those. So there you go. It's a great money maker. It's my favorite time of year for making money with my laser. And it's also, great to be able to make some custom ones for gifts for recurring customers and for family and stuff like that. So a lot of times I'll make one with a customer's logo on it. If they've gotten, say, keychains or something from me, I'll make them a Christmas ornament just as a gift and give it to them this time of year, 1st of November. Give it just to swing by and say, hey, wanted to say thanks for this year's business. I made you an ornament for when you put your tree up later on this month. And that has resulted in quite a few orders, actually, because they see that and they go, oh, that's really cool. Can I get a dozen of these to give to my best customers? Bang, there you go. So good way to do some sales. So some tips there. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Until next time, be well, do good work, and I'll see you down the road.